For those who don't know, Suzie, just tell the audience a bit about your background and what it is that you do. Who is Suzie Arruda?
Sure. As I had initially stated in my announcement, I am a first-generation born Bermudian. My parents came here as teenagers with their family in the search of a better life. They met each other here, married. My sister and I were born here. Grew up in Dudley Hill, had a great upbringing there. Went to Purvis Primary, went to Whitney Institute, did a year over at Roger B. Chaffee that used to be on the Naval Base. And I'm a graduate of the Bermuda College. I've always been in the corporate world, working in residential rentals at John W. Swan Limited. Started there, progressed up through the company. I am a director now of the Swan Group, and I've also managed Taste 141 restaurant, So that is a little bit about me, but, things have not always been peaches and cream. My parents wanting to make sacrifices to give me a better life. For people who see me today, probably say, oh, she's well-dressed, she drives a nice car. And that's all, hard work and sacrifice from my parents. Growing up, most people had the luxury of having their own bedroom. My sister and I didn't, My parents could only afford a one-bedroom apartment. And my sister and I shared a bunk bed in the living room, right up until we were close to being teenagers, because that's all we could afford. And then when we did become teenagers, my parents wanted to, give us a better life and made a sacrifice again to get a 2-bedroom. So I never had my own room. I always shared it with my sister. Thank goodness that we did get along, because some siblings don't. But that's where my kind of determination, hard work, and knowing the sacrifice that people have to make comes from.
All that said, you've had a brilliant career, right? Seem to come from a well-to-do family who sacrificed and kind of put you on a path. So what inspired you to want to throw your hat in the political ring?
I think that Bermuda right now needs people from diverse backgrounds that have different skill sets, that have been in the corporate world, that have been in the environmental world, that have been in the education world, that can bring something new and fresh to the table. We do have, and the one thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to be able to serve the constituents, and not just the constituents, but all of Bermuda, given the chance to be elected as an MP. Because then I can truly work for them. I will not be tied to a party line or to a party policy. So I don't see the point in getting into politics and joining a party if you're going to be handcuffed, basically. If the party doesn't agree on a particular issue that your constituents feel very strong about, you have to step back because you have to agree with the party line. That never appealed to me. Hence why I'm running as an independent candidate. And we need people who want to serve, who actually want to see Bermuda move forward, to collaborate and work together for the betterment of Bermuda, not for the betterment of the party, not for a paycheck. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm one person that's really honest. If I know something, I do. If I don't, I'm going to tell you I don't. I'm not going to sugarcoat things and make you feel good. And then at the end of the day, I fail you. That's not what I'm about. I want to make sure that everybody has what they need, the truth, especially more than anything else. And that's what I want to do. I want to be able to serve my constituents as best I can. Bermuda, if you look at the rest of the world, it's not in a very good place. Bermuda is a reflection of it. And right now, we need people with fresh, new ideas, but we need younger people to get involved because their demographic is really just being completely ignored. The middle class doesn't even exist anymore. It's been evaporated. So right now, you either have or you have not. And I did not want to be a dining room table politician where you sit around the dining room table, you discuss everything that's wrong, and you've got all the problems in the world, and not jump in there and actually do something.
What difference do you think you can make in the House as an independent if you were the only independent to be successful?
People always say because of my Portuguese background, I can be a bit of a bulldog or a pit bull. So if my constituents tell me that there is an issue that's important for them, damn right I want to be a pit bull with a bone. And I'm going to let every other MP in that house know about it. And I'm not going to be the type of MP that will say something and they're going to sit back and say, oh, we'll address that later. Or, an issue gets brought up and it's never addressed again. I am going to be the thorn in whoever side is there in that house because I'm working for my constituents. And if any other resident of Bermuda wants to come to me and has an issue, I want to hear about it. And I will fight for them as well because Bermuda is too small to be divisive. It's too small. So if whatever happens in St. George's affects people in Somerset, affects people in New York, whether we like it or not. So if I'm in that house and you tell me that this is important to you, I feel sorry for those other MPs. I'm sorry, I really do, because I will not let it slide. Unless I get an answer, it's going to be on the table all the time until I get an answer, a satisfactory answer.
Moving on, since you mentioned it, I'll get back to the audience, but you mentioned the whole absentee ballot situation. That's been a big topic.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There's a survey that my colleague Maya Palacio, through her Media Maya brand, has going on asking students to fill out regarding absentee ballots for students. But I want to ask you about absentee ballots. How far should we go? Like, is it just students? Is it students and Bermudian diplomats? Is it Bermudians who, may still have interest in Bermuda? Like, what are your thoughts on absentee ballots and how far should we go?
I'm of the opinion, once you're a Bermudian, you're always a Bermudian. So you should have the choice as a Bermudian if you would like to vote, regardless if you're a student, regardless if you're a diplomat, regardless if you live overseas. You should have that right. And some people may disagree with me, especially with the people that have moved overseas. But we have to remember, a lot of them have moved overseas not because they wanted to, but because they had to. And that's the difference. So in my humble opinion, I would like to see absentee ballots be available to all Bermudians. As I said, once you're a Bermudian, you are always a Bermudian. So that shouldn't change your choice of what happens in your country.
We've got Tiffany Painter asking, what other issues are important to you?
So my other issues that I had, we already touched on the justice system. Of course, closing the income gap. If we can close the income gap, that would, again, fix a lot of social issues that we have. Like I said, right now, it seems to be that there is no middle class. There is either a have or have not. So that's a big issue for me. Fixing our unequal, I call it an unequal education system, because some of the education systems in Bermuda do thrive. Some of the private schools absolutely thrive. These kids are doing remarkably well. They're getting scholarships. The things that they're involved in is absolutely incredible. But the public school system is floundering. I mean, it's on life support at this stage. And those kids, unfortunately, that are in the public school system, I do not believe are getting the education and the opportunities that the one in the private school system not. And the other issue that I have is just improving infrastructure. I mean, if we drive around Bermuda and you see our roads, the lighting, some of the buildings, and some of them are government buildings that have just been left to deteriorate. I mean, I remember when I used to take a cruise and go down to the islands and you drive around and you're like, oh, this looks nothing like Bermuda. Bermuda's very well kept. Well, you drive around Bermuda these days and you look around and we're beginning to look like some of those islands. In terms of infrastructure, we're slowly slipping into a third world country, which is frightening.